morning, afternoon, evening, booktube. I hope you guys are all having a fantastic day. I know I am. Not much going on. It's just dreary outside. That's about it. It's really not that pretty outside. It is cloudy as shit, and it's supposed to snow tomorrow, and it's 60 degrees today. I don't understand.
I really don't understand why I have to live somewhere where my face has to freeze off every other day. But I do, so let's just get over ourselves, Christina.
Anyway, my name's Christina, and I'm glad you could join me today. In this episode of Coffee House Book Nook, or not episode, but this video, I am going to be doing my very first review. I'm excited about this. I loved this book, actually. My general synopsis was I gave it a 4 stars on Goodreads. I will link my Goodreads and everything below so you can follow me and whatnot on there. You can add me. But I read Awake by Natasha Preston. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into the review. Grab your coffee. I don't think this will be too lengthy, but coffee's important. So grab your coffee, grab your snack, and let's get into it. Alright, so Awake by Natasha Preston. This is a young adult suspenseful thriller, is what it was labeled as when I bought it. This is a very good book. I will say it is a good book. So I might go on a little rant, but keep in mind this disclaimer. It is a good book, and I should not really complain about anything because it was great. I just loved it. Anyway, in this book, we follow two characters, two main characters anyway, Scarlett and Noah. Scarlett is a high school girl who basically doesn't remember anything from before she was 4. And Noah is a new boy who starts going to her school that she just falls in love with. It's got a love interest to it. Then Noah's been going to school there for a while, and then one day Scarlett gets in a car accident and she starts remembering things from before she was 4. This person named Evie or Evelyn, I don't remember, or this doll, or there's just a bunch of things that go into that. And as she's remembering these things, Noah is there with her for a specific reason. He's told not to do certain things, and he does them, and there's just a bunch that happens, and then he kidnaps her, basically. And from there, you'll just kind of have to fill in the blanks, because if you give too much information, you've given the whole damn story away, and that's kind of a problem. So I don't want to do that. Well, okay, I would, but you might not want to watch if I do that, so I won't. So the good things about this book were I was hooked. I got hooked not very easily, but I got hooked eventually. I fell in love with the characters. I cried, I laughed, there's just emotion, it was just wonderful, and then the ending, I loved the ending. The beginning, though, that was where it kind of didn't make sense to me. At first, it was a little slow. Or they would give hints to things that were going to happen later, and I just didn't like that. I get that in reading there's going to be subtle hints or whatnot, but I felt like they'd give these weird hints, and you'd be like, oh, I want to know what's going to happen. And you would think it would happen in the next chapter, but then it'd be 3 chapters, and it just, I don't know, that's not how I typically want to read. Like right now I'm reading The City of Bones, and in that they like give a little snippet, and then in the next chapter they go into that more. Well, that's not so much what happens here. It might be a couple of chapters before you get to it. The chapters are done like this. So each person is talking in that chapter. So first person or third person? No, first person. I probably am wrong. But each chapter is written in that person's perspective. So Noah and Scarlett are the 2 perspectives you're following in this. And then there's family members. There's just a bunch of characters in it. And that was something else, is I felt like they jam-packed this full of so many characters at times that it was just hard to follow, and then towards the end, they added a couple new ones, and, I mean, not that it was necessarily a problem, but in previous books that I've read by her, they have the same characters throughout. And then, or the same general characters, like her last book, anyway. So the plot of this is well written, very well written. The characters are well developed. I imagine them perfectly in my head. And not that I know what she intended them to look like, but to what I pictured, it was perfect. It was like a movie in my head, kind of. And it was great. It was great. was lovely. And then it ended, and then I was like, no, I just loved this. Why'd you end? Now this is a book that I would say I had some questions at the end, and I would like to see a sequel to this. Not that there probably will be one, but there were some things that I felt like could have been played out more, or what happens, or there is, versus the other book, there was a epilogue in this, so that helped. But I would love to see a book where they go and I won't give it away, but at the end you find out something, and I want that to become a book now. The climax of this was so good. The climax of this book was definitely another one that was well developed. I think the book overall was fairly well developed. I didn't like the way the hooks occurred, or how they got you hooked. It took me a little bit to get into the book. I started it, and then took me 2 or 3 days to want to pick it back up, and I was really worried I was in a reading slump, and that wasn't the case. It just was a little bit slower to get into, but once I was into it, it was good. I would definitely highly suggest this one. Natasha Preston is probably right now one of my favorite authors, and so it's probably really hard for me to really pull it apart too much. But yeah, overall it was good. And I gave it a 4 stars on Goodreads, like I said, and I think that's about it for this book review. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Go ahead and subscribe, comment, tell me if this is something you'd be interested in reading. Yeah, I'd love to know if anyone else has read this. What's your favorite suspenseful young adult thriller right now? Go ahead and put that in the comments for me, and I can't wait to read those. Go ahead and subscribe to my channel. There's a notification bell you can turn on if you want to hear my voice more often, which, why not? Yeah, anyway, you guys all have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.